Hello and welcome to Nerds of Wisdom. I'm on holidays for winter at the moment, and tell you what, it's not been too bad. Right now it looks a bit drizzly and overcast, but you know, it's not been like this the whole time. Today's like the first day. The rest of the day has been like 24, 25 degree weather. That's Celsius for those in America. And I mean, just come and have a look at this view. It's gorgeous. Check that out. Just check out that stunning view. I mean, overcast, yes, but gorgeous. So, of course, being on holidays, I've made sure that I took a few games, and I even wrote a bit of an article for Gamerpalooza about what sort of games I like to take on holiday. You can go check it out at gamerpalooza.com.au. But there's one game I wanted to talk about specifically, and it was a bit of a win for me because I picked up this game in a bargain sale. I had no idea what it was really about. All I knew was that it was a two-player game. I saw it there. The game's called Babel. It's one of the games that I put on the list. And I just wanted to go into it a little bit in greater depth because I thoroughly enjoyed this game, obviously enough to put it onto my list. I just saw it there on this sort of bargain bin sale on some online site. I can't even remember where I got it from. But the game itself just didn't... I had no idea what it was. I didn't know what it was about. I had never heard of it, but I checked out the designers, and sure enough, Uwe Rosenberg was on there as one of the designers. And I thought, well, he's a good designer. Why don't I just check it out? It was something like, it was some ridiculously marked down price. I think it was like maybe less than $20. And I thought, oh, I'm going to give this a go. I like a good two-player game. I like Uwe Rosenberg. He does a little bit thinky, but thought I'd give it a go. And you know what? I love this game. I really love this game. And in case you haven't heard about this game, I want to share this game with you. So why don't we quickly duck over and we'll have a look at how to play it. Okay, Babel by Uwe Rosenberg and Hagen Dorgathen. Here's the box. Here's the board. And here are the temple cards. You're going to build a temple from 1 going up to level 6. Now, your objective is to try and get a whole 15 points when your opponent has 9 or less, or 20 points if your opponent has more than 9, or when you have over 15 to be able to reduce them to 9. You're going to do that by a few ways. You're going to be using these cards here. You'll be using these civilizations. So you've got the Hittites, who, when you have 3 in a row in front of a temple, you can discard the top one and activate their ability, which is to steal 1 temple level. Now, it will just steal the direct level on top of the temple, regardless of what it is, and regardless of whether it meets your 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 ascending order. So you could steal a 6 level and you'll just have a 6 level temple, but nothing underneath it. But that doesn't matter, because the only card that counts is on top. The Assyrians allow you to destroy a temple directly, so you just pick the temple up, turn it upside down, place it back onto the temple deck, and that is destroyed. The Persians let you skip a level, so just directly, if you've got a 1, you can skip to a 3. If I discard their 1 of 3, I would get to cause a desertion. So if the Persians, for instance, are in at the same temple location on the other side of the board in my opponent's area, I discard the top one and I send all of their Persians to the discard pile. Then there's the Sumerians, who, if I discard their top card, I just get to take whatever tribe is on the other side. So if they have a set of Medes and a set of Persians, I discard one, choose whichever tribe I want, and they go directly on top of the Sumerians. Now, if I decide that I don't want to do any of their effects, I could just guard the top one and just cause my opponent to discard half their hand rounded up in their favor. So if there's 7 cards, they discard 3 cards. That's a pretty powerful effect. But the thing I find about this is it all balances out. We'll have a look at why. And here's the board. We're going to start with the end of turn, because the end of turn is important and is important to how we also start our turn. So each turn ends with the temple top pile dropping 2 cards off onto the turn player's side. You'll notice that there's 2 piles on each side. You'll take 2 cards, you'll turn them over, and you'll put them with the lowest one on top, highest one on the bottom, and that will form the pile. That's because during your turn, as you build temples, you can take from either your side or your opponent's side. That's important. Now, the way you start your turn is by drawing 3 cards. Now, take my 3 cards, place them into my hand, however I want. Doing alright here. Now I can take my Hittite, add it to my set there. Now I can use this to discard it, and I can steal a temple level. I will simply take that, place it there, and I've stolen their level. Now, if I was the Assyrians over here, I could discard a card and simply destroy the temple. Now, this is how the temple gets destroyed. All of it goes, place straight on top. Look at how that happens, because as soon as you drop at the end of your turn, you drop your 2 off, you put the lowest one on top, you've immediately set up your opponent to start rebuilding their temple. So even though it seems like a powerful ability, and it is, your opponent will start rebuilding that temple almost straight away. You could, if you were a Persian, you could discard 1 and simply skip a level to get a 2. If you were a Mede, you could discard and cause all of these people to get discarded. If you're a Sumerian, keep doing that. You discard, you take control of the other deck, the other pile, but they go immediately on top. Once per turn, you can migrate 3 cards. That means you can move the top 3 cards of any set over. Now, if you don't have 3 in a row, like here, you can move all 3 down here or here to any pile. That's a free action, but if you're like this, you want to move this pile, you have to move the top 3. So your turns can start to get messed up. If you want to move your token, you can only do actions at a temple site if you're at it. You will need to move your token to here. You'll need to discard a Hittite card from your hand. Syrian, Persian, so forth, down the line. Now that doesn't mean those cards are only effective in those areas. It just means that if you want to move your token to do an action, to build a temple, to use a power in that area, you must discard the correct card to move your token there. Of course, at the end of the turn, drop the next 2, and that's it. Now, as I mentioned, you can also use the power to cause your opponent to discard half their hand as one of your actions, but that's pretty powerful, and I do recommend doing that as often as you can, even if it means dropping them from 2 to 1. I just find it's such a big part of the game. And so that's Babel. I mean, it's relatively simple once you get into it. I actually found reading the rulebook to be slightly more challenging than actually playing the game in the end. And it just gives so much fun. Like I find that the game is really well balanced, that the whole all the mechanics work together. I started out by thinking that some of these game mechanics were way overpowered. All these mechanics keep the game really tightly balanced, so you're never really running forward, running ahead, unless your opponent's playing really poorly. You're never really running ahead that far. In fact, the game can swing pretty quickly. I think that's intentional in the design. I don't assume that every tight, close-knit game is a good game. Like, some games are better designed when you can run ahead because it's a reflection of your ability. But I think in a two-player game this works, because you don't want to be sitting there with another person who's just getting disgruntled because they can't do anything. Each player is doing a lot each turn. You just have to be really tactical in how you set up your plays. I found the ability to hand control, to use one of the abilities instead of doing their ability, to actually start hitting the person's hand, even when they had 2 or 3 cards. I mean, when you think it's half rounded down in their advantage. So if they had 7, they would lose 3 cards, and that's significant, really. Like, if they're trying to set up play, that could be significant in slowing them down. But then they draw 3 cards at the start of their turn, so it doesn't kill them, it doesn't take them out of the game. At the same time, I found even when I was getting down to 4, and if they had 4 cards, I'd still do it to take 2, and then I'd possibly, if I could, even do it again to take 1, just to keep slowing them down and to force them to play their cards out, which creates a whole new element to the game where you're sitting there, you're going, is it safe to keep these cards in hand? Should I play them out? If I play them out onto the field, are they vulnerable to attack from the opponent's tribes and civilizations? So, there's a lot going on in terms of balancing the game, in terms of being able to decide what's going to be the best play tactically for that moment, but also trying to slowly set up a couple of plays down the track and being just a little bit strategic. The game really does play in about 45 minutes, and it's a good solid game. Like, I've played it a number of times now, and I never feel like it drags. Like, there's so much happening so quickly. There's a lot to think about, as well as you can sit there and go, oh, I really misplayed that, but you can still maybe have a chance to bounce back. I just think it's a really great, tight 2-player game. I love 2-player games myself, and I think it's worth checking out. So if you do get a try, go check out Babel. Get it online, get it at your local game store. I don't know where, because I haven't seen it for ages, but it's there. Find a copy if you can. If you love 2-player games, give this one a go. It's got that feel of a Euro, but it's got some of the elements of styling. It's got some theme. It's got it's not locked into. It's got some randomness in there, which some Euros don't like. So I know some Euro players don't like any randomness at all, but the card draw is an element of randomness. But I think it just adds to this. It makes it a little bit more relaxed, makes it a little bit more enjoyable, and it's definitely worth checking out. If you get a try, check out Babel. Until then, if you like what we're doing, hit that like button. If you're new to this community, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Until then, my name's Dave Adams. See ya.